So it means the father of the mysteries. My daughter's title is Iyanifa. It means the mother of Ifa. Iyanifa. So if you looked on the poster, I think did it say Oluwo? It says Falokun Fasegun. So Falokun, you write this up here. Also, I thank you for what you said about the ancestors, the native land too. That sprinkling of water was all for the ancestors who provided a space for Africans that came here and Europeans that came here. So that's a whole nother story. So if you go to Central, South America and some of the Caribbean, a lot of Ifa is within those families, of the native families. So its expression is a little different, but you will see Africa in it. You will see Africa in it. I just write something here. So Yoruba has accents. I'm not going to put the accents on, but it's a tonal language like Chinese. So you can say something, if you don't have the right accent, they may not know what you're saying. You know, so I'm not putting the accents on, but I will write a couple of things here. So Olo. Olodumare is the word that we call God. In Ifa, we believe in one God, but there are emissaries. The emissaries, there's also Olorun, but this means the owner. Olo is the owner of the Odu, which I said earlier, the Odu is the scripture of Ifa. The Odu is also the hidden word for the womb, the feminine womb. So it's saying the one that owner of the Odu of existence. The word goes deeper than that. There's other meanings that go deeper than that, but this is the basic one. Olodumare means the owner of the Odu, the owner of the scripture. And Ifa, we say that Ifa is the direct speech of Olodumare. Ifa means, some say it's the wisdom of nature. Some say that Ifa, there is a story that talks about Olodumare broke these kegs of wisdom. And when the kegs broke, all the deities began to scrape. So Ifa also means to scrape for knowledge. To scrape for knowledge. Ifa. So again, Ifa is the direct speech of God. Some other lineage will tell you that Olodumare has no gender. It's genderless. And then others say, of course, Olodumare is male. But when you start to break down the language, it gets very, very deep. And the priesthood, I say, you can see this, okay? So I'm going to write what I told you, Babalawo, Babalawo. And then my daughter's title would be Iyanifa. Iyanifa. Then we have Oluwo, which is like saying a teacher. But my name, Falokun, you see the word Fa in Falokun. Falokun Fasegun. So, Falokun, if you see Falokun, if you see Fa in the front of a name, that means someone is in the priesthood of Ifa. So, Olokun is the ocean. Falokun, it means Ifa is as deep as the ocean. So, there are priests of Olokun, of the ocean, that know the mysteries of the ocean. Fasegun, there should be a dot underneath the S to give it the she sound. Fasegun means Ifa will give me victory. Shegun. One of the major cities in Nigeria, Ibadan. All the cities in Nigeria have Odu that is assigned to them. Odu is the scripture. So Fasegun, Falokun Fasegun is saying that my first name, and this is a name that you receive in initiation. My first name, Falokun, means that I need to study Ifa. means that I need to study the deepness of Ifa, and I'll never know. I will never know. But that's part of my journey, is to study the depths of Ifa. I'll never know. But by studying, it keeps me humble. Because Ifa says no one can say, oh, that's the same fly I saw yesterday. No one can say they can count all the grains of sand from the beach. That's in our Odu called Oturupon Meji, which means Ologbun Meji. It's talking about knowledge. Ifa says no one knows everything. No one knows everything. So, Fasegun means that Ifa will give me victory, not necessarily in a fighting sense, but gives me victory over the things that are paining me, the things that are troubling me. Ifa gives me victory over those things. Does that make sense so far? So, all of this happens in initiation. You receive a name. So I always think one of the main things we talk about in Ifa is what is our mission here? Why are we here? That's a question that everyone wonders. In Ifa, we believe that there is one scholar, a man named Sholagbade Pupola. He's a scholar on Ifa. He's a priest of Ifa. One of the things that he says is to find, follow, and fulfill your destiny. To find, follow, and fulfill your destiny. How do you do that? In Ifa, we use divination, known as Dafa. It means to cast Ifa. But my granddaughter, and I did this for all my grandchildren, we have something called Essentia. Essentia. Esse is feet, Aye is the world. This is done in traditional Ifa. This is done for all children when they're born. It's done 3 days after the birth in general, if you can do that. So in the Essentia, we're trying to see what the child brings to the earth, good, bad, or indifferent. With that, the child, like I said, we use divination, which we call Dafa. Dafa means to cast Ifa. Da, to cast or throw down. Ifa, Fa, Dafa. And within the Dafa, the child receives the Odu. The Odu Ifa. Again, the Odu is the scripture. In Ifa, we have 256 scriptures. Just like the Quran has the surahs, the Bible has the scriptures. The scripture and the message in Ifa is in the Odu Ifa. But we believe that everyone carries Odu in their life. Whether you know it or not, we believe you carry that. So when a child is born, we check to see what Odu is guiding them, kind of like the astrology sign. So we check to see what Odu is guiding the child. So the ritual, Essentia, means the child's first step into the earth. There's something that we use called the Oponifa. The Oponifa is a divination tray where we do the divination, where we put the divination. There's a powder that we use called Iyirosun that we pour on the tray and we mark the Odu Ifa. The Odu Ifa, like I said again, it's 256 scriptures. Out of the 256 scriptures, there's 1,680 verses. That's a lot of information. Now, not everyone is going to know everything about their Odu, but you will get bits and pieces as you go along in life. When the child is born, we give them an Odu, and that Odu will tell you where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, what types of food to eat, what type of color to wear, what type of profession is good for you, what's bad for you. It tells you all of those things, and in my experience, it's very, very accurate. It's very, very accurate. And so we believe that the Essentia is vital to your path, which we call Ona. is vital to your path. And if you don't get an Essentia done while you're a child, because that's the next question, when do you get it done? It happens through initiation, and it happens sometimes through, it's not really an Essentia. It could come through initiation or general readings, and that's what we call Dafa. The general reading is like, for lack of a better word, I say it's going to a psychic, but it's not a psychic reading. It goes much, much deeper than that. There's a whole cultural piece to it, as well as a spiritual piece to it, as well as a religious piece to it. So there's so many pieces to having a reading. So the Opon Ifa is what the child steps on. We physically will put the child's feet on the Opon Ifa. So now we have the child's first step into the world. The Opon Ifa becomes a sacred ground, so to speak, because that's where we mark the Odu. The Odu, again, I said there's 256. Ifa is a binary system. And one of the ways that we use divination is the divination tool. One of them is, I gave you the Opon. It's called the Opuele. The other two we use are called the Ikinifa. But what I brought with me today is the Opuele. It's kind of hard to see. This is a divination chain, and it has a concave side and a convex side. And you see it's in 1, 2, 3, it's in 4. So it's a binary system. It goes up to 4, 8, 16, which gives us the 256. It keeps going. So the way I cast this on the ground will give me the numbering system. It's spiritual mathematics is what it is. One side represents male energy, one side represents feminine energy. So if let's say that I show you the first marking, which is the concave side, is represented by the number 1. I'll say 1 in that sense. That's male energy. The convex side is represented by 2. So you will get 4 markings from the Opuele depending upon how it falls. And when it falls, that gives us the mathematics. So the first Odu is called Ogbe. Oh, I didn't know that. I like that. The first Odu is Ogbe Meiji. Meiji means 2. Meiji means 2 or double. Meiji. So it means we call these legs because this is like someone walking, right? So Ogbe Meiji is the first leg, and we mark from right to left. This is a writing system. But if you don't know it, it won't make sense to you. This is a writing system. So the first leg looks like that. And we write from right to left, from top to bottom. All the Odus. That's Ogbe Meiji. It means Ogbe on the right side, Ogbe on the left side. This represents male energy. Then you have Oyeku Meiji.